Welcome to Blue Grotto, Florida's largest accessible underwater cavern, and among the world's best-loved freshwater dives. This video covers some important things you need to know before diving the grotto. Let's get started. Your adventure starts here in our full-service dive store. We stock last-minute parts and accessories, T-shirts and souvenirs, snacks and beverages, and have a fully stocked rental department. After checking in, pull through the gate and park at either your group's reserved shelter or any shelter with a non-reserved sign on it. You can suit up either at your shelter or on the large deck overlooking the water. When you're ready, our floating dock makes entering and exiting easy. Blue Grotto is also the only popular training site in north central Florida where you can make giant stride entries. Blue Grotto comprises 3 distinct areas. These are the open water basin, the upper cavern, and the lower cavern. Note how quickly the lower cavern drops away and the fact it is not within direct sight of the entrance. You will find the open water basin used primarily by students and instructors. There are several training platforms here. Water in the basin and throughout the cavern is a constant 72 degrees year-round. The upper cavern is a wide open area with a large entrance which you can see clearly at all times. Dive lights are not needed here, but can add considerably to enjoyment. Among the upper cavern's most popular features is an air bell at a depth of 30 feet. The air bell contains fresh air circulated from the surface and provides a 360-degree view of the entire cavern. The floor of the cavern is very silty and easily disturbed. You'll see more and have a better time if you stay near the ceiling, where the most interesting formations are. The first thing you need to know about Virgil, Blue Grotto's resident softshell turtle, is that, despite the rather unfortunate name, Miss Virgil is actually a girl. Virgil is friendly, curious, and has a habit of showing up unannounced, usually near the dock or on training platforms. So, please don't swat at Virgil or try to chase her away. You'll hurt her feelings, and let's be honest, who could say no to a face like this? If you'd like to interact with Miss Virgil, there are a few things you need to remember. First, don't approach or chase Virgil. Let her come to you. You can get Virgil's attention by making a squeaky noise with your thumb and forefinger. Don't touch, grab, hold, or even pet Virgil. She'll just run away. If you would like Virgil to sniff your fingers, hold your closed fist flat on the platform. Just don't stick out a finger. She might mistake that for food. If you'd like to feed Virgil, that's okay. Just don't give her any human food. That could make her sick. Specially formulated turtle food is available at the dive center. Finally, remember that turtles need to surface periodically to breathe, and if you prevent them from doing so, they can actually panic and drown. So if you see Virgil start to go up, let her go. Every dive site, including Blue Grotto, has unique risks and hazards. The open water basin is adjacent to an overhanging ledge, so look up before you come up. Remember that, when in the air bell, you are breathing compressed air. It's important you resume normal breathing when you leave the air bell to avoid the risk of a severe lung overexpansion injury. Breath-hold diving into the air bell is particularly dangerous and carries an even greater risk of injury or even death. Don't do it. Overhead environments pose several risks, chief among them the inability to make direct descents. Additional risks include loss of breathing gas and loss of visibility due to light failure or silt. To better manage these risks, watch your depth. Only the upper cavern is within the recommended depth limit for divers with entry-level certification. Stay with your buddy. Depending on where you are, you may not be able to make an emergency swimming ascent. This means your buddy may be your only source of emergency air. Always keep enough gas in reserve to solve a problem, then make a slow ascent and a safety stop while donating gas to an out-of-air diver. The most commonly followed rule is to begin your exit with at least 2/3 of your original gas supply remaining. It's important to understand that sinkholes form when unstable rock above an underground river collapses. This isn't something that happened in the past. It's an ongoing process that continues even now. This means that any time you enter a natural overhead environment, there is a risk that something may fall on you. Fortunately, this happens rarely, but there is no way to predict when and where it will happen. The only way to eliminate the risk of being hit by falling rock is to stay out of overhead environments altogether. Otherwise, you have to be willing to accept this risk and not hold others accountable for your decision. Blue Grotto can comfortably accommodate a number of divers as long as people think about others rather than just themselves. Space on the dock is limited, and there can be many people coming and going. Divers can do this without difficulty if they don't have to step around your unattended gear. The entryway allows several divers to enter and exit the water at one time, which they can do provided they don't have to stand around with heavy equipment on their backs waiting for you to get out of the way. To help avoid this, enter and exit the water as quickly as you safely can. Do not sit on the stairs to don fins. If you can do so safely, don your fins while floating on the surface. By the way, carving or defacing underwater rocks or cave formations is a first-degree misdemeanor in Florida. The spectacular visibility is one of the leading reasons people come to Blue Grotto. So, if you stir up the silt, you not only affect your own enjoyment, but everyone else's. To help avoid this, stay out of shallow water. If you float on the surface in shallow water, your fins will stir up the silt, ruining visibility for everybody. Stay as far away from the bottom as possible. The closer you get to the bottom, the more likely you are to stir up silt. Wear the least weight possible. The more weight you wear, the more likely your feet are to sink, causing you to stir up silt. It's unusual for any diver to need more than 12 pounds in fresh water. Maintain good body position. Your knees should always be in line with your shoulders. Wear full-length exposure protection. You'll need it for warmth, and it helps keep your feet from sinking. Clip off all dangling gear. Dragging octopuses and consoles along the bottom ruins the visibility and damages equipment. Avoid standing, sitting, or kneeling on the bottom. These are bad habits for anyone to get into. Instructors, please make sure your students are neutrally buoyant before leaving the platform, so they don't end up looking like this guy. And finally, before heading to the bathrooms, remember to rinse your feet.
Here is some additional information you need to be aware of. Among the most dangerous features of any dive site isn't in the water. Instead, it's the stairs leading to and from the water. Blue Grotto is no exception. Be aware that, on our main staircase, the depth of each step changes midway down. Don't take any chances. Use the handrail to help maintain balance. If you are carrying tanks or other heavy items and won't have a hand free to hold the handrail, don't take the stairs. Use the adjacent handicap ramp. Also, before descending the stairs or ramp, make sure your wristband is clearly visible. Since we last updated our orientation video, we've installed a brand new floating dock. This has separate stairs for entries and exits. The most popular way to enter if wearing a single cylinder is a giant stride. The best way to do this is to take advantage of the handrail next to the left-hand stairs. Hold on to the rail while donning your fins so that you don't risk falling over. Then use the handrail for stability as you move to the edge of the dock. Remember that, just because you can enter the cavern doesn't mean you should. Before entering the cavern, spend some time on one of our training platforms, making sure you can maintain neutral buoyancy and horizontal trim. Remember that depths increases the further into the cavern you go. You will need to add air to your BC periodically as you go in and vent it when going out. Stop frequently to make sure you are not sinking. If you are, arrest your descent by adding air to your BC, not by kicking. The most important safety rule in cavern diving is maintaining a continuous guideline to the exit. Blue Grotto has 2 such guidelines. Each leads from the edge of the daylight zone all the way back to the surface. These guidelines also establish the deepest you can be while still remaining far enough away from the bottom. Keep them well below you at all times. You should always keep at least one guideline clearly in sight when in the cavern. To avoid entanglement, remain at least 3 feet away from any guideline. If you must cross over a guideline, remain well above it. The NSSCDS recommends not beginning any cavern dive unless you have at least 40 feet of visibility. That's the length of 2 large SUVs parked bumper to bumper. Unless you can see at least as far, stay out of the cavern until visibility improves. If visibility drops below this while in the cavern, it's time to leave. Things in the cavern are where they are for a reason. If you think any of our guidelines or statues should be repositioned, tell us. Don't take it upon yourself to do this. Again, thanks for watching and say hello to Miss Virgil for us.